Hi, my name is Jo. Welcome back to my channel. On today's list, I have a few things to go over. One is my February TBR. It's like halfway through February now, so I've read a couple. I still have some to go. I also renewed my library card, so I do have a mini library haul to show you. And I also have a few different packages of bookish mail to open. I think where we're gonna start is my TBR. So for this month, I had 7 books on my TBR. I had 2 that were Kindle, 2 that were physical, and then 3 that were new releases. The first Kindle TBR that I had is called Center Ice by Julia Connors. I did already read this one. I will save my review, but this is a hockey romance, and our 2 main characters previously met while they were both in college. Our female main character did end up becoming pregnant and could not get into contact with our male main character. So several years later, they are reconnecting, and our male main character is finding out for the first time that he is a father. So this one is definitely one for our second chance romance fans. The other book on my Kindle TBR I actually just finished yesterday, and that is the last book in the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. This one is called Hopeless and focuses on Bo Eaton. Our female main character is named Bailey, and because she comes from the same family as her brothers who cause non-stop trouble in the town, everyone kind of looks down on her. So between this issue for her and Bo's issue of struggling with PTSD and wanting to get his family off his back, they come together and decide to fake an engagement. Although this was not my favorite of the Chestnut Spring series, I still thought it was great. Elsie Silver's is just made for writing romance. Now on to my physical TBR. The first one is actually Destroy the Day, which I have here. I'm about like halfway through right now. This is by Bridget Kemmerer, and it is the 3rd and final book in the Defy the Night series. This one picks up right where the last one left off. All of our main characters are separated and trying to find their way back to each other. Some of them aren't sure if the others are alive. And on top of those struggles, they are also dealing with a war with people that they thought they could trust. They're having to build new alliances, and they're still trying to figure out what exactly is poisoning everyone. This is a YA fantasy, and I'm not normally a big YA reader, but I just really enjoy this series. I think romantically in this series, the tension and banter and flirtation are good enough to stand on their own without the need to really go any further, and I also really enjoy a lot of the side characters in this series. The other book on my physical TBR I don't currently have with me because I am borrowing it from a friend and she's still finishing it up, and that is because we're in the same book club, and that was one of our book club picks for this month. This book is from the Shepherd King duology, and we did read the first book, which is One Dark Window, last month, and it left on the biggest cliffhanger, so I'm really excited to dive into this book. This is a fantasy series, but as I've been telling people, if you're into things like gothic literature, even if fantasy is not your thing, I would still recommend this. It's sort of like a darker fantasy, it has a really unique magic system, and in the first book, what our main character struggles with, her big secret, is not something I have found in any other book. It is completely unique in that way, as is the magic system. So I'm excited to not only read this book, but to also be able to have the chance to talk about it with a group of people at my book club, because it is just fascinating. And as a big reader who sees a lot of the same tropes and magic systems, etc., it is always so fun and special to see something that is unlike anything else. Now on to the new releases for this month. First up is A Vicious Game, and this is by Melissa Blair. This is the 3rd book in the A Broken Blade series, and I'm actually not sure if it's the final one, if this is a trilogy or not, and I will probably not be googling that to avoid spoilers, but we'll know when I'm done reading A Vicious Game. Again, we have another fantasy series, which is not really a big surprise when it comes to me. And similarly to the Shepherd King duology, I would describe this one as a bit more of a darker fantasy. And the main reason that I would describe it as that is that our female main character does start out as a bit of an anti-hero. And as the books go on, we do see her grow and become more of a hero, but it is an interesting journey that the author takes us on. At the end of the previous book, there was a bit of a cliffhanger with a change in leadership on the antagonist side, and so going into this book, I'm really excited to see how our female main character deals with that and how her relationship with our male main character will continue on. I do have to say I felt more connected to our male main character in the first book of this series than I did in the sequel. I felt as though he lost a bit of his personality, and so I'm hoping that we gain that back, or at least learn more about him, or we have a better connection with the two of them in this 3rd book. Next up on the new releases is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Now, I've actually never read a book by this author, but it sounds like this is her first go at a paranormal romance, and so I decided to jump on the bandwagon. And I'm not sure if it's in my bookish mail today or if it's still on the way, but I did order a signed copy because I figured if this is my first Ali Hazelwood experience, why not go all out? And to be honest with you, I don't know much more about the book than that. I kind of wanted to go into it a bit blind. But from the glimpses I've read and the cover, I believe that there are werewolves and or vampires involved, which is really all I need to know to give it a try. And the last book on my February TBR that is also a new release is called Icebound. This book is by author Meredith Trapp, and it is a hockey romance. So in this one, we have a bad boy hockey player who's in his 30s, and I believe his rule is that he won't date anyone below the age of of 30. Enter our female main character who is 22 and an art student, but somehow ends up maybe in a fake relationship with him where he believes she's like a 30-year-old doctor. And as someone who has for some reason become hooked on hockey romances and has therefore read a lot of them, I'm always happily surprised when I read a synopsis that doesn't sound like every other hockey romance I have read so far. So although I know nothing about the author, I am going into this one with high-ish hopes. And now that my TBR is done, let's do the mini library haul. So first up, I did grab The Cruel Prince, and this is by Holly Black. Now, I know I am extremely late to the party when it comes to this series. However, I have just heard so many differing opinions on this series that I decided I didn't really want to spend money on it in case I ended up being on the side that didn't really enjoy it. From what I gather, the reason that most people didn't enjoy it is that this leans more into the political side of fantasy as opposed to the romantic side. So I am going in with that expectation, and I don't think I'll be let down in that regard because of that. It also is YA, so I'm a little cautious in that regard, but because I grabbed it at the library and it's free, I figured there's no harm in trying, and so I also grabbed the sequel, which is called The Wicked King, because that was there as well. And the third and final book I picked up at the library is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. This is probably the most beautiful cover I have ever seen. It is just absolutely stunning. And it does look like this is this author's debut novel, so the fact that I've seen this everywhere is kind of amazing. It does sound like this is a romantasy focused on Chinese mythology. And I don't know too much more than that about the plot because even though I've seen this cover everywhere, I feel like I haven't really read any reviews. So in case you're like me and also just need a little blip of what this is about, I'm just gonna read this part up here. It says, an enthralling debut fantasy inspired by the legend of Chang'e, the Chinese moon goddess, in which a young woman's quest to free her mother sets her on a dangerous path and pits her against the most powerful immortal in the realm. I definitely will need to look up pronunciations for everyone's names in this because I want to make sure I get them right, not only as I read, but if I finish it and give a review, I want to make sure I pronounce them right in there as well. And I don't believe I've read anything in regards to Chinese mythology, so if nothing else, I hope I enjoy at least that aspect of it because I think it will be fun to give something other than Greek mythology a try. And even then, when it comes to Greek mythology, that was me reading like Percy Jackson in middle school. And as someone who loves reading fantasy, it really doesn't make sense that I haven't delved into the mythological side of a lot of these stories because I feel like the Venn diagram of people who enjoy mythology and fantasy is a circle. So that is it for my mini library haul. And for the last part of today's video, here is my book merch that I'm going to be unboxing. Now this one says it's from Bloomsbury and it feels small, so what my guess is that it's a pin for Destroy the Day. Now last year, back when I pre-ordered this book, they said that if you submitted your receipt for it, you would get a pin. So obviously I did, and as a collector, I did try and find on reselling sites the first two pins from the first two books, and I just couldn't. So if for some reason you are magically watching this and have pins for Destroy the Day or Defend the Dawn, I would love you forever. So anyway, this is our little pin here. It looks like a super cute little potion bottle, and then right down here at the bottom, it does say Destroy to represent the book. Next up, I have this package from Lucky Ace Publishing, and I'm gonna try and cover up my address and also show you how cute it is that they put little stars all over the package. So if I'm right about this one, I'm guessing that this is a copy of a newer hockey romance that was released. And how cute is that? It came wrapped in tissue paper full of butterflies. I was right, this is a hockey romance book. It's called The Signature Move, and it's by author Cassandra Diviak or Diviak. And can we just appreciate how cute the cover is? Like, even the ombre is adorable. Okay, so I did remember that it was signed, but what I forgot is that this author was so kind to also write a little message if you wanted her to. And so what I requested from her was if she just had like a favorite little quote or a favorite little moment in the book, if she wanted to write that, and she did. It says, "A sparkle is made to shine, so never dim your shine for anyone." And there's also a little heart with her signature. That is so sweet. I'm so happy to have this in my collection. And reading the back, it's definitely giving me Icebreaker vibes by Hannah Grace, so if you were interested in that, you might also enjoy this. It says, two athletes, one shared rink, and a rivalry heated up on and off the ice. So along with it being a hockey romance, I believe that our main character is also an ice skater. So that just sort of wormed its way onto my TBR. 2 packages to go now. Now this one is from Penguin Random House, and this was gifted. I'm not exactly sure what is going to be in this, so we will find out together. Well, I do see a book in here, so now we'll just need to see what book it is. What am I holding in my hand right now? No fucking way. Okay. One second, I just need to like gain my composure. One second. Okay, I think I have calmed down enough to speak about this. I am currently holding Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. So the reason that I did not think this was Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage is because this isn't out yet. And I did pre-order a signed copy of this, and I've been counting down the moments till I can hold that in my hand because this is the second book in its series. And the first book in the series is called Done and Dusted. It was the first ever small town cowboy romance I read, and it was so good. Unfortunately, I was just the tiniest bit behind the hype train when Done and Dusted came out, and so she did have signed copies of that book and I just missed it, and that's still like one of my biggest bookish regrets, is just not being able to grab one of those. So when I saw that Swift and Saddled had signed copies, I pre-ordered one immediately. What I forgot about though is like you could sign up to maybe get an ARC, and that is what I'm holding in my hand right now. It's just threw off my February TBR in like the best way. This definitely feels like a full circle moment because like I said, I really just have so many regrets about not getting a signed copy of Done and Dusted, and the fact that I'm now holding an ARC for Swift and Saddled is just, it's like a little bit of a redemption arc. And this is the first real ARC I've been sent, so as someone who's been on Bookstagram and Book Talk for a while and is, you know, just now starting on BookTube, this is such a monumental moment for me, even though it might seem like nothing. And the fact that I just got it on tape, my real reaction to this amazing surprise, is so cool. Anyway, all of that, and you haven't heard a single word about what this is about, so I can tell you. First, should we take a moment to appreciate that this is like a real ARC that I'm holding in my hands, and it's for a book that I am so fucking excited about. Our male main character in this one is the brother of the female main character from the first book, Done and Dusted, and he's like our small town cowboy guy. Our female main character, however, is more of a city girl. Sounds like her marriage has just recently failed. Sounds like she's struggling with her interior design career. These two end up meeting in a bar, having like a little romantic moment, and it turns out that he is her new boss. If for some reason I have not made it clear, I could not be more excited about this, and I'm just so grateful to be holding this in my hand. Lila Sage, you are an angel. I really wish that I had saved that for last, but I truly had no idea what it was. And it did end up being gifted, but it wasn't from what I thought was maybe going to be doesn't matter. This last one, I think I knew what it was, and now it's escaped me because my brain is still fried from Swift and Saddled. Amazing. This is one of the books that I just said I needed to read on my February TBR, which I still want to do, but Swift and Saddled will obviously come first now because it's an ARC. Oh my god. Okay, we need to move on. Anyway, A Vicious Game by Melissa Blair. Can we talk about this cover for a moment here? And not only is this cover just absolutely stunning, but that is a consistent theme with the other two books in this series as well. So here's the first book in this series, A Broken Blade, and the second book in the series is called A Shadow Crown, and I mean, even this one is just stunning. So if you are someone who really enjoys collecting physical books, I would say that not only is this series just amazing in content, but these covers are so cool. And a fun thing about this one is, just like Destroy the Day, if you showed that you had pre-ordered this, you were able to grab an enamel pin, so I will be looking out for that in the mail. And the enamel pin that I'll be receiving is actually this pin here that our female main character is wearing on this beautiful cover. Okay, well that is it for today's video. I'm really excited that I got to experience receiving my first ARC with you guys and got it on film. That is such a special moment that I'll probably look back on with my bookish career, bookish endeavors forever. And I'll be back probably at the beginning of March to discuss all the books that I do end up reading in the month of February and my reviews for them. So thanks for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like it and comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.